Do you think that they're noticing our big microphones on our chest area? Hopefully this will sound better. We're doing the wireless mics, so we want to give you quality. We quality. We want to bring you quality. So you let us know if this is a better sound or not. Oh my goodness. We've got an interesting topic to talk about today. This is one that me and Michelle, we kind of disagree on a little bit. But you've all heard about the football player that beat his 4-year-old, I believe he was 4 years old, with a switch and left marks, and now he's being suspended, investigated, etc., etc. So
did they bring him back in?
I
thought I heard something about where they dropped it, or
and then they let him play. I think they did let him play
like
or something, but it's still, I guess, under investigation or whatever. But the good old corporal punishment topic. Okay, so should you or should you not spank your children? Michelle, I'm gonna let you get the party started. First of all, did you get spanked?
Of course.
Of course. Okay, so would you give me some of the devices that were used?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Would you like the worst?
Okay, what was the worst?
The worst was a fan belt from a car, a piece of a fan belt. You ever seen a fan belt on a car?
Yeah.
It's rubber with wire inside of it. Fan belt. And we also had this thing in our house called the Board of Correction, which was kind of like a joking novelty thing where it was a paddle, and on the back it said, all victims signed. So every time we got a spanking, we had to put our name down. But it was a wooden paddle, but it was called the Board of Correction.
Okay.
Like a play on Board of Corrections, like the jail or the penal system.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
And then everybody I think was introduced to the double hole belt with the metal pieces on it. I had so many of them decorated on me. I thought I was the leopard. Is a leopard with the one with spots? Yeah. I could have been a inner city ghetto leopard without a red whelps on it.
Who did most of the beating?
My mom.
Your mom.
Oh yeah. My dad did not.
Yeah. So he never beat you, or he just that was your mother's?
I remember one spanking that I got, and my dad actually cried. After I cried so hard, and he cried, and he never did it again.
Wow.
And he would do the boys a little, but
Okay.
my mom had this thing, that was now my mom would use a broom. She swept us through the house plenty of times.
Did you get a lot of spankings?
I did, yeah. My mom that was just her way. I thought it was unnecessary. And hence, I don't agree with it. I just think it's unnecessary. Okay. I just thought it was unnecessary because I don't feel often parents get to the matter of the actual the thing that you did that caused the punishment.
Okay.
I don't think they get to the heart of the matter when it's just about spanking and not really having a discussion. Why did you do what you did anyway? I mean, she would ask, why did you do it? But she didn't really want to know why we did it. She just wanted to get to, don't you ever do that again. And there was often not a lot of commentary about why we're having this spanking, what really happened, what's your side. There was no discussion about it. And the thing that I really, really couldn't stand is the fact that anybody else in your family that wanted to take a stab at it or in your neighborhood got that chance too. Now, I'm not saying that, I don't want to give the impression that I'm totally opposite of it, because I think there are some situations where if your words are not getting across, something might need to happen. If there is a level of just, I might need to back up on that too, because I don't know if I'm agreeing with what I'm saying. I want to believe that I've seen and heard of stories where there are children who are aggressive towards their parents,
right,
and parents need to do something.
Okay.
And that might warrant it, but it disheartens me to think that a child is being aggressive toward a parent. And I think sometimes when the children are aggressive towards parents, it's because parents have been aggressive towards them. I think that there are just instances where corporal punishment has turned into this cycle of abuse where children get so tired of it, they start to act out as well. So we'll talk about that later. But, I got my ass whooped more than one time. with
But
more
you-
than one
but
type
in
of.
general, you do not believe in corporal
I
punishment.
just think there's something else. There's another way of handling it. Yeah, I just don't.
So you're that timeout.
No. I'm not a
So you're not
timeout.
doing timeout?
Oh no, I didn't really have to do timeout with my son. I would punish my son. I would say, okay, I can give you an example. He was 6 or 7, and he did not do a homework assignment. And the teacher and I were friends. And
Right.
she kind of called me. She said, Zay didn't do X, Y, Z. And so I told him, I said, for a whole week, you will not get TV.
Okay.
You will not get video games.
Uh-huh.
I didn't say he couldn't play or do whatever, but I knew what he loved. So I took what he loved at the time. And believe it or not, he was so diligent about going through with the punishment that on a Thursday, his dad and I went and said, you have been such a good kid, we're going to lift this punishment, early. And he said, no, it's tomorrow, and I'll take it all the way through till tomorrow, which was shocking. We always say he was an alien child. Whose kid is that? 'Cause I would have been like, yeah, give it back. But no, I didn't. And most often, and I'm not saying my child was a super angel, because there were moments, but we would talk it all the way from the beginning to the end. I needed to hear the whole story, especially if there were things happening at school. And like I said, we can talk further about that, because there are things that happen where a teacher will call you, and I was a teacher, and I've seen both sides of it. I've seen bad-ass kids,
Right.
and I've seen bad-ass teachers. So
Right.
I wanted to be able to have both sides of the story from my son and from the teacher, so I could get into the middle of it. When I was growing up, teachers ruled. And if
Absolutely.
if the teacher sent a note home, there was no discussion about it. You did something you weren't supposed to do, and that wasn't always the case. And you know it as well as I do.
True.
That wasn't always. I went to Catholic school. Halftime that wasn't the case. Nuns kind of crazy. Spank you. They take anything and get to you. So it wasn't always that way. So I wanted to give my son the benefit of the doubt, one, and two, I wanted him to always feel free to be honest, because I believe when I knew my mom was going to spank me, I wasn't always going to tell her the truth. I was going to hedge my bets. Maybe if I lie and try to get around this situation, the spanking won't come down on me. And sometimes it worked, but most times it did. So I wanted him to feel free enough to say, Mom, this is what I did. I know it was wrong. Let's figure out how we're going to go from there, instead of, feeling like he had to lie to me. I never wanted him to lie to me. And I lied to my mom a lot. Because she was rough. Okay, so give me your side.
No, but I have a different take on you now, then, because I thought you completely were totally against spanking a child. Period.
Well, when my son was small, I feel like there is a level of something that you have to demonstrate to the child when their communication level is not the same. So if Xavier was headed to an electrical outlet with a key or something, I go, no, don't do that. Giving him the indication of what is a good move or a bad move. So I totally get that. I totally get that. But some of this extra stuff, I ain't even with it. I'm not getting it.
Okay, well, see, to me, that's what it's about. What you just said. Let me just say right off the bat that I do believe that Adrian Peterson went too far. I think that he probably was very emotional or whatever, and switches do leave marks. And this was a 4-year-old, so I think he went overboard. But do I think that he's a child abusing a parent that needs his child taken away from him and sitting in jail?
I think
absolutely
that
not.
part that has been added into the equation over the past 20, 25 years is a bit extreme.
Right.
To say that
If you touch a child.
If you touch a child. Yeah,
Right.
if you touch, that's over the top.
Yeah, and
that's
I believe that and needless to say, I absolutely got spankings. And I believe that not every child needs to be beat for every single thing you do, but it's just like you just said, Michelle. What I do believe is that you start from the cradle with the things that are off limits, things that you don't do. Like you say, I was a big parent. You go to touch something, you're not.
If you have to,
exactly.
If you have to,
or
yes.
pop
because
that
they don't
hand.
know any way.
That's
I don't
correct.
think they understand. They don't have the language skills to articulate what is going on.
Absolutely.
So you need to demonstrate.
So that's what raising a child is to me.
And that to me
teach
is
them.
not corporal punishment.
But wait a minute. The saying is there's never any reason to put your hands on a child. There's never any reason for you to hit a child. That's the.
I think hit and like my friends, I've got some friends that I just met through work who they call it a pow pow.
Yeah.
A pow pow or a pat, that's one thing.
Right,
Hit,
it's just pow pow.
I don't think there's any reason to hit, because there is a way that you can spank that is a hit versus if you're saying don't do that, if you're saying there's no reason for that, then maybe there's not, but I need somebody to show me what it is.
Yeah,
I need somebody to show me what it is.
Absolutely. But it's just like you said, when you give birth to a child, children don't come here knowing what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
That's why it's your job to raise them up in a way that they will know this is wrong. And this whole thing about, well, beating a child instills fear. Absolutely. For me, there's a certain amount, I'm talking about a healthy fear. Do you best believe when I was coming up, there was that fear of, I don't want to get a spanking. I don't want my mom or my say, wait till your daddy gets home. I don't want to hear that. I don't want that belt to come out. So yeah, was I afraid? Absolutely. But it was a healthy fear. Not, and it had nothing to do with, you know what? My parents don't love me because every time I do something wrong, they say, oh, no. I knew my parents loved me. I knew my parents loved me. And because it's the same kind of love that the Bible tells us about, that God disciplines his children, that he loves. Same thing. If you don't love your child, yeah, let him run wild. Let him go through the store and knock off everything off the shelf. Let him, spit in your face out in public and call you a bitch, the rest of it, like I've seen out today. If that works for you, okay. But then them same kids, I believe, that receive the timeout.
Well,
timeout time.
we were talking about stats, and they were saying that 100% of inmates in jail were predominantly us, said that they were beaten excessively in such a way that level of discipline creates aggression. There's a level of aggression. I can always tell a little child who lives in a house where there's a lot of screaming, where there's a lot of arguing, because they're screaming. When they're playing, their play demonstrates how they're living at home. I can remember, I only have my child to use as an instance in this case, but I remember my son sitting at breakfast one morning. You drop the kids off and you kind of hang out a little while. And I was hanging out talking to a teacher, and my son was tapping the little boy to say something. And the little boy, what? And he screamed so loud, Zay burst into tears. It scared the shit out of him. He was like, because he wasn't used to that kind of behavior. But I would watch the kids on the playground, and their level of aggression was clear that they learned it somewhere. I'm not saying they don't see things on TV, because there are things that they see on TV, but I'm just saying in a household, there are certain things that are, certain behaviors that are picked up. I have seen people who get very upset with a 3-year-old when the 3-year-old says shit. But we have just discussed that child has no idea what shit really means, but you said it. You said it, Mama said it, Grandma said it. Everybody says it over and over and over, and then you go, but don't you say that. Come on, we got to come up with the plan that we've decided to use, that, as my mom used to say, do as I say, not as I do. See, that's what I didn't do for my son. I did not do as I say, not as I do. Because my son said the MF one day, he let it rip, and the teacher called me, and she was like, oh my God, Miss Simmons, Xavier's such a good boy, but I had to discipline him. And I said, well, you know what? He got it from me. It was honest. His mama say M F F S F F F and F and F F F. I mean, that was one of the things that he picked up from me, and I couldn't do anything with that other than, Xavier, please try not to be like me. And I tried to work on my mouth when I was around him. It has not worked to this day. Actually to yesterday, because I decided I just got to stop at some point. I've been doing it since I was 13, using bad words and things. I know. So anyway, I digress a little bit there, but I'm simply saying that I have seen in grocery stores, in different places where children are being dragged along. Come on, stop that. Don't touch that. Don't pick that up. It's this constant aggressive behavior that turns into an aggressive behavior. And I think specifically for African American males, there needs to be more talking. I believe on occasion African American men don't really know how to negotiate certain things because they just know what to do with their hands. A lot of them. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying, and boys, starting with boys, but I'm only speaking on African American boys because I'm watching. They are encouraged to be competitive, to be in sports, to take care of family, to be these sort of brutes. And when it comes down to having to negotiate and compromise and sit at a boardroom table and come up with decisions, I don't feel like they're often been able to make decisions because when they're growing up, they're not allowed to really express themselves. They're told, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it, go in there and do what I told you to do. You know, I don't know that there's often a lot in the African American culture, a lot of discussion. That's the word. We didn't get to discuss shit. Okay, I just used my curse word. We did not. In my family, my mom made the rules. We did not get to talk about what we wanted to eat. We did not get to discuss if we wanted Brussels sprouts or not. We didn't get to have choices. We very rarely got to have choices.
So are you saying you think that if there are less spankings and less beatings and more discussion, then
I'm not saying that you might not need to go there, but I am saying when you get a call from school, most mothers get a call from school that such and such did such and such. I don't think they're often asked, what is wrong with you? What are you thinking? Tell me why you did that. From what I saw, it was straight out, I'm gonna beat you and don't you do it again. And I remember when my brothers, and like I said, I can only use examples that I know. When my baby brother would try to express himself and tell my mom, you hear a lot, I don't want to hear it. I'm simply telling you, do not go back to school and do that behavior. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You need to hear it. We need to hear it. We need to figure out what is going on because all they're going to do is push it down, push it down, push it down, and then act out aggressively somewhere when it's inappropriate. And they say, they say that when you find people going to the NFL piece, what's his name? Ray Rice? No, Ray Rice.
Ray Rice.
Boys who turn into abusers have been severely beaten growing up.
Well, see, to me,
so there are a lot of things going on, but I just threw that in.
I just think that's a different discussion.
It is a different discussion, but that is just something that I saw when we were looking at when I read some stats, and I read a recent article about the Peterson guy. But then they kind of they went around to the Ray Rice thing, and they were saying boys who have received lots of corporal punishment growing up grow up sometimes to be abusive.
And I think, to me, I want to see the stats that talk about the kids, the Columbine killers. Were they spanked or did they get time out?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
They did say, where I was reading, they did say, we're not saying that it's just African Americans, but they were saying, look at Asian Americans who do not use corporal punishment, and they are successful in school, they're successful in business, you don't see them getting into some of the issues. But like you said, we're not sitting up here. It's not a jump on, African American kind of thing. But they're looking at different parts of the society who discipline in different ways, and then seeing the products that they turn out. That just happens to be one. That's probably one of the few, because I think Hispanic Americans do the same thing. I think they, have pow-pows. These are my girlfriends. These are my Hispanic girlfriends calling it pow-pow. But
I don't know. I just my take on. I believe that all of that is good. You should talk to your children, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think you should. Should you reason with 2 and 3 year olds? Absolutely not. It certainly should be my way or the highway. That's my personal opinion. I think that a lot of times, when I was coming up in school, police didn't patrol the halls. There were no policemen roaming elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, packing, because there was a fear of whatever may be going on in school. There was discipline, and most kids were raised in an environment where you didn't want to have to go home and get your tail whipped.
Of course
I would say today, you see, now I don't know that matter of fact, I was listening to something on Tom during the morning show, and they were saying, a civil was saying, where are the statistics as to children who have gotten time out, that time out age, and where they are. I don't know. When I was coming up, more of us graduated from high school. There were those exceptions that weren't graduating from high school. We said yes ma'am, no ma'am. We would stand up if an 80-some-year-old person needed a seat on the bus. We weren't cursing bitch this and bitch that, and there could be 900 full-grown adults around you, and these kids today have no respect for themselves, no respect for authority, no respect for their parents, are running wild. And I personally believe that that whole Dr. Spock, there's no reason to ever hit a child mentality is the reason why we have that going on.
I mean, I'm not saying that you're not right, but I am saying that more often than not, going further from the time we grew up to now, most kids don't have their parents' access. Most children don't have access to mom and dad. Mom and dad are working. They're just as caught up into the tech society. They're watching just as much bad TV. And in our inner city situations, these again are children raising children. Absolutely. So if your mama is out partying, hanging out, you know, who knows what you're going to end up doing? You end up policing yourself. You end up raising yourself. And that's my biggest gripe with what's going on in what I consider the inner city. You're sitting here telling the child to be this grown-up at 2 or 3. You're dressing him like he's grown. I've seen 2-year-old boys with earrings and the baggy clothes and the necklaces. And the moment he flexes his muscles and becomes a grown-up, you want to sit him down and squash him down. Children don't have anybody to talk to. When I came home, my mama was there and was asking questions. I ask my son questions every day. I pick him up. How did it go? How was the test? What happened at school? How are your friends? To the point where I probably got on his nerve, you know, but I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to know what he was thinking about. And I don't think that that's happening as much anymore because your mom was home. Absolutely. Your mom was there. There was food. There were things that were going on that just don't go on. And I don't even think it's economics anymore. I think the more money that's made, sometimes the worse the situation can be. Because you have all of these things at your access. Mom is doing Pilates, yoga, and you're running around to all these different sports, and nobody's having conversations. Kids, you know, I hear certain friends of mine say, I go and I check my kid's cell phone. I didn't have to check my son's cell phone. I didn't check his cell phone. I simply asked him the question. When he walked in the door, I could look in his face and tell something went down. Xavier, what is going on? Well, I don't want to talk about it. No, we need to talk about it. I would drive him crazy until he told me, I failed a test. The teacher said something. This girl made me, whatever it was. I did not need to go and check his phone. I didn't even want that. You know, although I have friends who say, it's my phone. They remind me of my parents, you know, it's my phone. Well, yeah, it is my phone, but I don't need to go check something that I'm simply going to ask you, what is going on? Because I know my son well enough to know when the day didn't go well. I ask him, do you have a test tomorrow? When he come home, how did that test go? Mom, I think I failed. Okay, why did you fail? Mom, maybe he would just say it. And he told me today, Miss Girl, you're going to love this. He said, Mom, you always keep it 100. I said, that's Miss Tanya's line. Because we were talking about something about sex. I've been talking about sex to that child since he was like 3. We did not say pee-pee, poo-poo, vagina, penis. That's just the way it was. But so I say it's such a big issue, Tanya. It could go, like you said, we could be talking for a couple of hours on this. And absolutely. I think the next thing we need to do is probably look at some of the African-American psychotherapists or psychiatrists, not psychologists, to talk about the psychology of where things shifted. Because I got spanked, but I don't want to say that I didn't think my parents loved me. Of course they loved me, but my mom and dad didn't do a lot of talking with us either. Well, you know, we didn't have conversations about certain things that I wished we had talked about, and sure. I might have done differently or been thinking about differently.
I guess the only thing I'm saying is that everything has its place. And the tone today in society is There's never any reason to hit a child. You should corporal punishment if they see a mark or something, you can lose your children. It's gone way overboard. We don't stop people from driving cars or saying, well, people shouldn't be driving a car because somebody gets in a car drunk and kills somebody. No, that person may be punished and penalized, etc. But we don't say driving cars is bad. And so all I'm saying is there is a time and place, and y'all know I've said this before, there is a time and a place to hit anybody, and there is a time and a place to hit a child. Absolutely. There are times, and every child is different. Michelle had a son who didn't need a lot of spankings. That was obvious. Like you said, it seemed like he was a very mature child.
He was a mature child, but like I said, I like to believe that I gave him the freedom to tell the truth. I don't feel my mom gave me the freedom to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. I really, really don't. I told you, I make this joke all the time. As a child, we grew up saying yes when we wanted to say no and saying no when we wanted to say yes. We go to Big Mama's house. Big Mama got this big old coconut cake on the counter, and Big Mama said, baby, you want a piece? She don't need none. Mama already said no for me when my mind was going, hell yeah, I want a piece of that cake. Give it to me now. Get home. She got these nasty Brussels sprouts. I don't want them. You gonna eat them. I let him tell me, Mom, I don't like that. I said, Dave, did you try it? I tried it. I don't want to eat it. That was off the table. That was off the table. Because to this moment right now, when my son gets a call from a certain person who says, you want to hang out? He is very comfortable saying, no, I don't think so. Do you know how many people follow the leader because they weren't even allowed to just make a decision? I was one of them. I would do things that I sometimes didn't want to do because I thought it was the right thing to do. Because my mom would tell me the right thing to do is eat what I told you to do. And the right thing to do is say no to that piece of cake. So there would be guys, let's use it, who would say, you want to go out? And my mind would be playing flip-flop. Well, he's really nice and he is smart. He's ugly as hell and I don't like the way he looks. But my mind, this mind over here where my mom is talking in my ear, he's nice. He's smart. He made the honor roll. You should go. I don't want to go, but I'm going because somebody's telling me to. My son can very clearly say, mm-mm. And I don't believe a lot of children say no because they don't feel comfortable telling their truth. You know what I'm saying? Saying no. So I just feel like I gave him opportunities to make choices that even when they're opposed, like the choice he just made recently, and you know what I'm talking about, I would not have thought that was going to be the choice, but it is what it is. And now we got to ride that out and see how it's going to play out. But it will be his choice, and he will always know, this is a choice I made. My mom stood beside me, but now I might have to adjust this choice. Or it worked. And congratulations for me following my gut, and it worked. So I mean, that's the one thing that I feel like if we all had more of, not all of us, I can tell clearly you know how to say no.
Absolutely. Got my tail tore up. No,
without
hell no. Okay, yeah, and it depends on children, and people are individuals, and they have different personalities. My daughter was one. That girl did not want to be spanked. She didn't like to be told no, that she wasn't doing the right thing, and didn't receive a lot of spankings. My daughter did not receive a lot of spankings. My son, should have received many more. Lay to death, baby, you know that. But he needed more spankings. But children are individuals.
They are individuals.
And I do believe that a child also has to learn that sometimes it ain't about your choice. It's you, and you're not supposed to have one. In 5082, that's my house. As a child, you don't lock no doors.
Oh, girl.
You don't come in here, Mom. I'm doing so. Are you kidding me?
No, my son never did that. But when his door was closed, I knocked on it because there was some stuff I didn't want to walk up on.
Yeah, I did.
Hey, boys are boys. Yeah. He's the only one. And y'all a single parent. I'm the only woman. I locked my door. He locked his because sometimes he walked in on stuff he didn't want to see. It wasn't another person there. It would just be Mom, maybe not dressed the way she should be dressed. So we respected each other's boundaries, if you will. But I get what you're saying. I do. I know. I mean, but For me, I decided that I did not want to be the mother my mom was, and I love and miss my mom to this day. But I just wanted to be a different parent.
Okay.
I wanted to be a parent who unequivocally expressed, well, my son knew without a doubt that there was love there. The love that I know my parents had for me was they had me, they raised me, they gave me good things, but there was no expressions of that coming out of mouth or hugs and all that. My son, we get off the phone every time, love you, Mom. And I know your son is the same way.
Yes.
Every time. So that was something that did not happen in my house. And I just feel like some of the choices I made in the way I raised him give us the relationship we have right now. And like you said, I used to tell him, he used to always ask for a second, for a brother or sister. I said, what if he's evil? What if he's not like you? And then, I could have had an evil one, and I'd have to knock him around. But thank you, Jesus, I didn't. And I would have to have this corporal punishment conversation. Like, I'll go kick you through. But for me, what hurt more is when my dad would be disappointed. Mm-hmm. It hurt. It was more painful for my dad to give me that look. Right. And that spanking, and that elevated me to another level. I never wanted him to have that. I can't believe you did that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
It was painful. So a spanking wears off. My brother hedged his bets. He got beat all the time. He ain't care about being beat. He ain't care. No, Harvey. Oh no. Mm-mm.
Like I said, children are different.
Yeah.
They're everybody's an individual.
Yeah.
But I just think for society today is going way off the scale with, I don't mind the conversation about, I hear you saying maybe we should be doing more talking because we live in a crazy world today. You better be talking to your children.
And you better
be talking to your children. And like you said, that a lot of times the problem in the African American community is there's a mother there and there's no partner. So you have to be mother, father, disciplinarian, tutor, breadwinner, and it's too much. You cannot do it all successfully, no matter what anybody tells you. And it's a very difficult job. But what I do feel, the good old days of if my dad or my mom cut a look, they just had to cut a look.
Well, with my son, he knows that too, because he'll say, Mom, what's wrong, Mom? And I'm like, don't start. And we've had, it's like, we've had our little moments where I kind of went off.
Right. And
he knew where I was headed. Or I would say, don't make me turn into Mima, because you don't want me to be Mima. I'm being somebody other than Mima. That's what he called my mom.
Yeah.
I said, you don't want me to be Mima, because if I'm Mima, you're not going to like me. We're going to a totally different place. So that was the way that, and it was very rare. Very rare, because he didn't want me upset. He'd say, Mom, I'm sorry.
Right.
He'd apologize. I know I messed up, So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I mean, you just want to make sure you're doing it right.
Yeah. Again, parenting is not an easy job. It's not an easy job, and parents are not perfect, and so parents make mistakes. So I believe that Adrian Peterson made a mistake, went overboard, but to now start having the discussion that, oh my God, you should never, black people are dysfunctional because they come from a culture. And I hear, what kind of kills me is these erudite, scholarly professionals that swear out, oh yeah, I got beat with switches and trees too. They're the same ones that are doctors, lawyers, ain't never been to prison, ain't never killed nobody, say yes ma'am and no ma'am. And I'm just saying now to turn that into, oh, this was barbarism, this was barbaric, the way we raised our children, is crazy to me. It's absolutely insane. But again, there needs to be a happy medium. There needs to be just what you said, more talking with our children, and there needs to be occasional ass whippings when necessary. Am I right about it? Amen and hallelujah. Okay. And as I always refer to the good book, is which I live by, the Bible says, raise your child up in the way that he should go, and when he's old, he won't depart from it. I was raised properly. Okay, she was raised properly. And we ain't departing from it. And we okay. I ain't never killed nobody. I ain't never been to jail. Hallelujah.
Oh my God. Well, some have been to jail and were raised pretty good. They just made a dumb
okay.
Okay. Me neither.
So tell us what you think about corporal punishment, to spank or not to spank? Hashtag to spank or
Just
not
a little
to spank?
pow pow. Just a little pow.
Hashtag pow pow or now or time out. Oh my goodness.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
all right.
You're bad.
Why? Why am I bad?
Pow pow and now.
Christina, bring me the belt.
No,